We're waiting on Jeremy, but I will chat with you all online or on the comment section if you'd like. Let's say we're waiting on Jeremy or waiting on Steve. There's Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
What's happening?
Not much. You ready to get going?
Yeah, let me get over to YouTube and get everything muted.
Okay. Got Marty Wandry checked in and Steve Anderson's checked in. I think Dan Narva's waiting in the wings.
We dancing on LeBron's grave this morning?
Could be a topic.
What the heck is going on here?
Steve Anderson, is it possible that more people were tuned in to the late rounds of the draft this year than ever before? It might have been a rhyme or reason.
Oh, definitely.
All right, I'm going to get us going.
Okay.
We appreciate everybody watching on YouTube. Looks like we've got 6 people watching.
Oh, boy.
Hey, boy, thank you guys. A lot better than looking down at none.
Yeah, it definitely.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekend Big Show. It's Friday, and that means that Jeremy Schroeder, the ruler of the airways, and I, Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog, get together and talk sports here on the Law Dog Sports channel on YouTube, streaming live. This episode will be recorded and uploaded to our podcast pages, SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. A lot of weather, a lot of storms going on in the Sooner State where we abide, and just been keeping an eye to the sky. And Jeremy, you were tied up this morning a little bit with some pet issues. And I will freely admit, pet issues are basically my life during storm season because we look after several dogs that just not big fans of storms.
Yeah, we didn't have them overnight, thank goodness. But last time we had the Daisy the Beagle
Yeah.
during storm season, she stayed a week with us over spring break, and it stormed.
Yeah.
And she was under things, wanting to get in bed, just terrified. I
Yeah.
hear the wife out there scolding that little yellow demon that's in the pen.
Yeah, they can have some character to them, and then also, it's funny because I've known guys, and Connor Carr, if he checks in, maybe Steve Anderson, they seem like probably privy to. I know Connor has hunting dogs. Steve might have hunted with dogs at some point in time, but those dogs get started as pups hearing shotgun rounds.
Oh
And
yeah.
it doesn't. I don't think the storms affect them. I knew. I had a buddy who worked. He was assigned to the pistol range for my former employer, and he brought his Labradors out there, and they just wandered around.
I just wonder if it's like genetic memory, because we've had labs. I've known people who've had labs even when they were puppies,
Yeah,
unbothered by any loud noises. They
maybe.
just don't care.
Yeah.
There's
Well, I tell you, it's I mowed last night. I missed most of the Pistons Knicks game, but really.
You missed all 6 bench points the Pistons put out there.
Well,
Or
what
the
I was
Knicks,
going to
the
say, in the
Knicks.
Eastern Conference, do you really need to watch more than the last 2 minutes? But got my yard mowed, and then the rain moved in, so I'm feeling pretty cocky right now.
Look at you.
Yeah. So, anyways, Steve Anderson always had cow dogs. They were nothing but let's see, nuts in any kind of weather. Yeah, we've got some dogs that. And one of them's become accustomed to the minute there's a sprinkle of rain, he's ready to come in on the porch. So
Yeah, the labs, the rain, they want to be out in it. The
yeah, they're just resilient
hounds,
dogs, I guess.
beagles, they
No,
don't care for anything. Any loud noises, and they're cowering.
yeah. Well, we heard from Marty Wandry earlier on the chat before you jumped in. Then I think Dan Narva jumped in on the group. Have you checked out the forums page on lawdogsports.com?
I was looking at it at work the other day, and then I got occupied working and wasn't able to. So,
Well,
it's on the list. I need to get in this weekend when I have some time.
it's a test thing. What I'm not crazy about is I think it's uploading content through AI that's not me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure where to go with that. So it could be a non-factor on the lawdogsports.com.
As long as the AI doesn't become self-aware and take over for us.
Oh, I think they've said it already has.
Oh, great.
Yeah, those.
I've seen a movie about. Oh yeah, Terminator.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah. Anyways, but no. This time of year, Jeremy. I mean, I've kind of been in a lull between play-by-play gigs with soccer playoffs kind of getting ready to get started, and then baseball, high school baseball going on, and things like that. But it's that I freely admit here that I've hit that point where Major League Baseball. I mean, I'm just going to say this without having whatever network the Rangers are on this season. I find it hard to keep up.
Is it Bally's?
I thought it was FanDuel.
Whatever it is. Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
I think I was scanning through my YouTube TV, and I think I saw a Rangers game was on.
Did you
So
check?
maybe
Was it blacked out?
That's another thing. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
Major League Baseball doesn't. They have no intention of growing their game. Speak of Major League Baseball,
yeah.
Mike Trout has entered the IL again with the bone bruise in his knee.
It's just sad. I mean,
It is really
that's
sad.
one of the phenomenal talents in baseball. Would you say he's gotten as much exposure in his career as Bryce Harper?
No,
Yeah.
not even close, because he
No.
plays for the Angels and nobody's watching baseball at 9 o'clock because 9 p.m.
Yeah.
because it's a haul. It's 4 hours,
Think
and
about
you're
his legacy if he's with the Cards,
think about his legacy if he's with anybody that is
the Cubs.
Mountain Time Zone East.
How are the Angels? I mean, I don't know the layout of LI, but like how are the Angels not in that whole media buzz? Is just like intentionally we're going to block out anything from Orange County. We're
I
not going to
guess
cover it.
it seems that way. I mean, literally the Dodgers. I don't see them as much, but you hear about them because they're the Dodgers and they've got that
San
payroll.
Francisco.
The Giants, but they've been
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yep.
The Giants.
Padres.
The Giants have ripped off a couple World Series. San Diego, that's the only game in town.
But think about this. I mean, and we'll get to basketball in a minute, but this is kind of a wormhole. Um, how many seasons were the Dodgers just mid, but still all you heard was Dodgers this and Dodgers that? I mean,
Because there's Dodgers fans everywhere. No one cares about the
so
Angels.
no,
It's
I
that
did when they
Clippers
had Nolan.
conundrum. It's that Clippers conundrum. They've been absolute garbage their entire franchise history. So, even when they're good, no one really cares.
It's amazing that little brothers in major media markets just cannot break out. And
It's kind of like the Mets.
the Mets. Meet the Mets.
But the
Steve
Mets have had more
Anderson,
success historically than the
oh yeah,
Angels. You can give them that.
one World Series title, but two between
Two,
69 and current day.
69 and 85, 86?
Six. Yeah, 86
86,
Mets.
yes.
Yeah.
And the Angels won it in 2001?
They did.
Yeah.
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 A lot more
they did.
recent. Wow.
It's the
Gene Autry alive then? Steve Anderson,
I
you're
think he
probably
might have been.
let's see. Steve's working. Steve Anderson says Rangers are on Victory Plus, which is a streaming service. I've actually been very happy with it so far. Good pregame and postgame. Good broad. If Emily Jones isn't involved with it, then it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I've become bad about baseball. I box score watch, or I'll just throw the game cast on, and every once in a while check it because
think I
I
watched.
can't watch the Cubs anymore.
I watched some
I'm not paying
Phillies.
to watch them.
No, I watched some Phillies Mets the other night. I think a little bit or whatever. Yeah, tells you.
Yeah,
how
it was
much
it
I
pleasing to
invested.
the eye were the Phillies wearing those beautiful, beautiful powder blue and maroon
Yes,
uniforms.
yeah.
Those
The
are
Mike
so-
Schmidt,
those are
the Mike Schmidt
without
Blues.
those are perfect.
But anyways, so I know what I was going to say. I think I don't know who it was, but somebody somebody took a picture of a baseball dugout. Two players leaned over the post, and it said that one player's last name was Kramer and one's last name was Newman. And the title of the caption says, "Great game, pretty boy."
Well, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
you couldn't ask. They had to plan that. But anyways, Rangers slumping a little bit right now. And I'm gonna say this, and he's such a friend of the show, and I'm really not trying to run at him, but I'm trying to give him some advice. But John Moore is our good friend who we share content from his venture with DLLS Rangers and the Texas Rangers Weekly Baseball Podcast, I believe is the. But man, he's going to wear his thumbs out going after people that bag on the Rangers on Twitter. I mean, he doesn't let anything slide. And like last night, so here's my Thursday night while I'm kind of drifting in and out and also watching some hoops. Everybody's upset right now about Jake Berger, who I think John Moore came on and talked about, was somebody that they were looking at to be some power in the lineup. And some guy whose Twitter handle is Trade Simeon is bagging on stuff, and John says, "Well, what do you think they should do?" And I so wanted to get on there and say, "I think it's in his title," but
I believe
but
if
I
you
mean,
read his handle, you know what he wants to do.
yeah, I mean, and they kind of went back and forth, and so I in looking out for John, I just hope he doesn't take all these disgruntled Rangers fans to task, because I mean, you think about all the years
Hey,
when the Rangers were so bad and there was no Twitter.
you have to, but you have to feel for the absolute hellmouth that the Dallas Metroplex sports has
Oh
become.
man, they
You
have
know,
they sold their soul for that 2011 title or something, or those three back in the 90s when we were young men, because the Dallas sports scene is well, I guess maybe as recently as the World Series, but I mean, we're dealing with this in college sports, and we'll talk a little bit about here in a bit about your new NIL overlord from the 806 area code. But but we're entering an era where these major market, major media, major money teams are just gonna hoard all the talent, and
yeah,
so the Rangers got their. I mean, I'm a Rangers fan. They got their World Series. Yes, you'd love to see them compete, but I mean, it's just it's just kind of the inevitable in my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah. I saw Texas. Their payroll this year for their football team is for between 40 and 50 million
I
dollars.
think Tech's not far behind.
That did you say Tech?
Yeah, Texas Tech 806
Texas
is
Tech?
Lubbock. Texas Tech, Cody. I was about to do a deep dive before we jumped on, but the Matador Club is apparently just really ramping up the funds, and Texas Tech is going to be up there in that realm.
All that just to finish fourth in the Big 12.
But I mean, it's easy to be mouthy about it, but I mean, you spend enough money. I mean,
Well,
you got. I
okay.
mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You spend enough money and you have a competent coach.
Now I will give you that, but I'm not going to give it to you until Texas actually wins something.
Well, no, but I mean,
Because they've
they're
spent
two.
money hand over fist for decades.
Yeah. Real quick before we jump off the Rangers, Rangers don't have a clubhouse. Steve Anderson, Rangers don't have a clubhouse leader. Seager and Simeon don't have the personality for it. They've been making terrible mistakes with runners in scoring position.
I know one man who is available and is willing to pitch. One Joey Gallo.
Oh, wow. Steve's a fan. We kind of want to keep him around. Dan Narva, crappy YouTube didn't update their live icon until I refresh. I've seen that, and I apologize for that, Dano. But so yesterday, and I know I'm jumping around here, but to finish out the major media stuff, your point is Texas and Texas Tech have not won anything
Yeah.
of note. Texas has been to two straight playoffs. When OU had been to two straight playoffs, a lot of folks were doing a victory lap. I mean, it's a lot of, it's a big thing, especially to make the semifinals.
Well, there was a lot more dancing on the grave when Oklahoma went into the playoffs and flamed out than Texas.
Oh yeah. I mean, but they've also got Arch Manning as the number 2 draft pick next season. So
We'll see about that. Yeah, Shadure's supposed to go
that's the
top
thing.
5.
I look at everything in sports these days, Jeremy, with a "we'll see" attitude, and no, not prognosticators. And
I mean,
I know it's clickbait.
Quinn Ewers was the most decorated high school prospect to ever.
He was the highest rated quarterback prospect since Vince Young. I was told that.
Yes, and that translates to a 7th round pick. Texas is turning friggin' 5 stars into Syracuse Orangemen. Sorry. Orangeman's offensive to somebody.
So, are you talking about the
And
defensive lineman that transferred in from Syracuse?
wide receiver that transferred to Washington, came into Texas, 5-star, transferred to Washington, and now he is a Syracuse Orange.
Which one was that?
And oh gosh, I just saw it this morning, and you had to ask me his name.
Is Brennan Thompson still in the port? Did he go in the portal somewhere?
He went to Brennan Thompson went to Mississippi State.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, that's another big time recruit that has now.
I saw. I think it was Travis Davidson. Is it Travis Davidson that's on Twitter?
Yeah, yeah.
I think he or someone else shared the entire wide receiver production of the transfer portal wide receivers from Norman from last season, and it made up for an average backup or second option receiver.
But
So,
I mean, not to bag on Texas too much, because Lord knows I love to, but that's just the state that the game is in right now, as far as college football
well,
goes.
here's the thing though, and I always see things in light of what's the perfect storm. Michael Busso checking in. Thanks. The perfect storm is, and Kirby Smart can stop a lot of this if he'll figure out quarterback is such a kicker for him at Georgia. But I mean, Sarkisian coming in, having a sound offensive mind, the talent that Texas has traditionally gotten now added along with huge NIL bonuses. I mean, it was the perfect storm for Texas to come in and compete mightily in the SEC. OU did not have their timing right at all. I mean, I don't know if it's a coach hire. I don't know if it's the NIL thing. But the thing about it is there was a void when Nick Saban bailed out of Alabama, and Texas is benefiting from that. With the Texas Tech boost of NIL money, and I mean this Cody Campbell, I mean, he sold an energy company, I think, for $4.5 billion back in February.
Yeah, that'll buy you some recruits.
I mean, and he's the director of the Matador Club.
Yep.
And so they're going to start flexing. And anyways, it'll be interesting. And here's the thing. Your flex with that kind of money in the Big 12 is going to be a little bit different than the flex in the SEC. It just is. I mean, and we could see, but like you said, first you got to dominate your own sphere.
Yes.
You can't, or else you're Colorado.
Well, when your sphere is the state of Texas, that's a tough ask. That's a tough sell.
It is.
And I'm sure that this infusion of cash into their NIL is going to make a massive difference. And I want to see the Red Raiders do well.
Yeah, I'm not anti-tech.
And we've watched for years them have, Coach Leach did a good job down there. Kingsbury had guys all over the place and just could never get over the top, and has failed up ever since. It's just, you have Patrick Mahomes, who is possibly the greatest or the best, the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, and you don't do anything with him down there.
Yeah, I mean they just had no defense. I mean, and you think about it also, Jeremy, that was a period of time in the Big 12 where there was no defense. Maybe K-State played a little D, but nobody else did.
But offensive teams had first round draft choices running all over the place in that league. You had CeeDee Lamb, Baker up here, Marquise Brown, just a ton of guys everywhere. Oklahoma State was rolling.
Look at the running backs that OU had in that vaunted game against Tech.
Mixon that was Joe Mixon with Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mixon has had a nice NFL career. Perine's been a solid player.
Oh, yeah. He's been
that offensive line, how many guys are still hanging around the league from that line?
Yeah. Dan Narvis says yours didn't yours reclassify to get NIL money from Ohio State a year early? Yes, he did. He did. He totally skipped his senior season, not just his second semester. He didn't play his senior season at South Carroll.
Did he? Okay, you're right. I think
I am. I think because it was about the time when we were doing the daily with Corey Hogue.
Yes.
and that was a topic I remember. He skipped his senior season of playing football, pretty
Yep.
certain.
I
So
think he did, and
get to Columbus early.
even then, I think he enrolled in the spring as well. So
Yeah,
did he
yeah,
skip a year and a half of high school?
mm-hmm. Or senior season. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's crazy that he was under Day, learned, under there, and then went to Sark, and he had all that around him,
well,
and it
I
big
tell you
moments,
what,
he just could not come through, except for
even though
one against
Jackson,
Arizona
yeah,
State.
even though Jackson Dart is a first round selection, you look at the offensive brain trust that's under the Norm Chow tree of Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian. They haven't. I mean, apparently they have done more with low grade quarterbacks than any other duo of OCs before. Because
Yeah,
I mean,
Carson Palmer
Carson
was a hell
Palmer
of a
was
player.
was huge, but then Matt Leinart lit it up, and he barely had a cup of coffee in the league.
Matt Leinart wasn't a skill level issue. Matt Leinart he didn't want to watch film and put the work in. He was too busy, you know,
Yeah.
being being a cool guy.
Were they over? They had Matt Castle, who was their third stringer.
Matt Castle had a nice career.
You just say
I,
that because he was a Chief for a minute.
well, no, I mean he won a division in Kansas City. He won 10 games with the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know,
Did they have
you
Sanchez?
yes, they did have Sanchito, and he had a decent career. I think it would have behooved him to play more games in college. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he started 15 games in college and then went straight to the NFL to
Yeah.
a defensive minded head coach and probably wasn't developed as well as he should have been.
Yeah. Well, the Ewers thing is bizarre because I mean, there was talk that he was looking at upwards of $8 million in NIL money to go to another school, which I'm guessing did
He
we figure it was
he could have
Michigan
gone
or
back to Ohio State or
Ohio
Michigan
State?
or possibly even Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Someone
They
would have
probably
paid
they
him a
probably
lot of
would
money.
love to have somebody with his arm to be able to get the ball to that young receiver.
He's a talented guy. You know, I think him getting tight in big situations, coupled with Sark getting tight in big situations, which we saw in that playoff game.
Yeah.
4th and 1, fourth and goal from the 1, and you don't get in and end up getting strip sack
Yeah.
for 6.
Since we're talking about the draft, I was a little surprised that the running back out of Texas, Jaden Blue, didn't go a little higher. I thought he was kind of what teams were looking for as far as a weapon out of the backfield and things like that. But
Yeah, only a couple of teams are really in that market where they're willing to draft a running back that early. The Raiders, possibly the Bears.
yeah,
Running backs are still viewed as a dime a dozen commodity in the league unless you're really special like Saquon Barkley or what I think Genty is going to be when he gets to the NFL.
yeah.
It's a tough position. The lifespan's so short. You can't throw big money at these guys, for
The
2 or
thing
3
about
years and
Ashton
then them be
Genty
done.
is, the thing about Ashton Genty is, and what I've seen this week is the running back out of North Carolina is considered to probably be just as viable at running back, but I don't think went as high. But
Did he go late first round?
he might have, yeah,
The guy I really liked was Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, just
yeah.
because of pure speed and explosiveness, and he was a second or third rounder.
I like Taj Brooks out of Tech, but he took a lot of battery in Lubbock. I mean, he was a battering ram, so we'll see. But what I was going to say is the thing with taking Genty so early is, I mean, the last running back that I remember going that early was one. Oh, dang it, forgot his name. The kid from Texas, the running
Bijan.
back, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
The thing about
Bijan's done well. They just don't know how to use him.
well, and then I guess with Genty, there's going to be one way to use him pretty much. But
Well,
I wouldn't have classified Genty's talent as being above Robinson's.
What's the Bama kid that is from Tulsa that the
Josh
Raiders,
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, the Raiders took him in the first round and didn't offer him a 5th-year extension, and he's with the Packers?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I saw his name trending the other day. I should have looked at it. But anyways, since we're kind of recapping the draft here unintentionally, what was your personal grade for your Kansas City Chiefs?
They filled needs. They got a steal with the Royals kid in the 5th round who was projected a day 2 guy. They filled needs. They got their tackle at the end of the first round. Big talented kid from Ohio State. Had some injury issues in college, but
He
hopefully they
was
can get
massive
those.
though, right? I mean,
Oh, he's a big dude. Um, they got a D tackle, someone to play alongside Chris Jones. And I'm sure they probably took a defensive back somewhere late in the draft that's going to factor in a big game somewhere along the line. Yeah,
yeah,
Veach is drafted well, and I don't see this as any different than how he's drafted in the past.
yeah. Um, I would say this, and this tells you how the league has changed because previously teams that would be in the same position as like the Chiefs and Eagles are this year. They're so well rounded that you heard the phrase best available.
Yeah, you're filling holes at that point. So
But
Josh Simmons from Ohio State. It keeps refreshing back to the Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. So you got a big SEC defensive tackle in the 2nd round.
mm-hmm.
Ashton Gallott, defensive end from Louisville. Noel Williams, cornerback from Cal. There's your defensive back taken later in the round. That's going to be a big time player.
He'll make some play that will seal a division championship or something.
They got him a backer in the 5th, and Brashad Smith, running back out of your SMU Mustangs.
There we go. And there's another NIL entrant that people better prepare for.
It's going to make less in the NFL than he's making in college.
Bringing that big money to the ACC. Here's something talking about draft is from what I'm seeing here, and I hadn't checked up with it in the week, but Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas, still unsigned, and that guy was supposed to come in and be the end all.
I think he had some off the field issues that tanked his draft stock.
Unlike every other, the NFL player with off the field issues.
The good thing about living in the People's Republic of Norman is there is no local jiggle hut to take recruits to. And now we have learned that Texas is hosting unofficial visits at a strip club on 6th Street in Austin. And we had their defensive lineman get picked up for DWI because he had a vape pen with the devil's lettuce in it.
Oh,
and he failed a field sobriety
test. Illegal in Texas.
It is still illegal in Texas.
Yep. Well, let me fix the camera a little bit here. Well, and it's just funny because one thing that I think resounds itself with regards to the NFL draft, and then we'll get out of this, but talent overcomes off the field problems.
Yeah, until off the field problems
it can,
bleed into the locker room, and we'll see.
You think all them dudes in the locker room don't have plenty of friends and that have been arrested out of the club?
Man, wow. Did you say the club?
I did just to see if you'd catch it.
Are we reverting back to Mac's final few years where the jail blotter Longhorns are back?
Well, I mean, Georgia was in the semifinals, and they apparently need to teach some driving lessons in Athens. I don't know.
And you mentioned something about Georgia quarterback. Georgia has not developed a quarterback since Matthew Stafford. Think about that.
But Aaron Murray was after.
Yeah, where's Aaron Murray now?
Well, I mean, He had a
I mean,
drink.
I know he got
He had a
drafted
cup of
late.
coffee in the league.
He got drafted late, and I don't think he did a whole lot in the NFL. But
Who was
Stafford's
quarterback
probably.
when they beat OU?
Oh, that would have been Jake from State
Oh,
Farm.
Jake.
Jake
Wow.
Fromm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or was
Yeah,
it the
they
East?
have
No, it was
not
Fromm.
they have apparently, as far as NIL goes, both official now and unofficial back before it was changed. Apparently quarterback bankroll has not been. I mean, they got great play out of Stetson Bennett,
They did, yeah,
I mean,
and developed. I don't mean developed because obviously he was developed in college and he was a good college player.
yeah.
But that good college players do not often translate to good NFL players.
No.
You got to be truly special to take snaps in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so Will Howard, I think, eventually got drafted, or was he
Yeah, Will
undrafted?
Howard got drafted by the Steelers. I want to say fifth or sixth round.
Huh. Well, I don't know. One thing I'll just say though is, I mean, I think my original point was it's so interesting with the league the way it is now that used to you would say you would see some and maybe the offensive line pick for Kansas City was just kind of a yeah, we see him as the best available right now. But I mean, I can remember times, Jeremy, where in the first round there were teams that truly just take oddball picks. And it's like, well, they didn't need him, but he
Like
was
Michael
obviously
Penix Jr. last year at number 8.
kind of that. But even I just look back at some of the Steelers drafts back in the old days and the Patriots drafts when they were riding highs, like they would take some guy like a cornerback. You're like, well, what they need cornerback for? Well,
You
because
need cornerbacks.
because they're going to cut their
Yeah.
quarterback. That's
Well,
about
it's going
get
to be
new
a
contract.
salary move. This guy wants
Exactly.
way too much money, and we think this guy's
Asante
gonna be
Samuel.
just as
That's
good.
one I remember. Just not necessarily out of the first round, but just. Anyways, let's get out of the draft, and it was an interesting one. I don't care to revisit anything about Shadur Sanders. I will say this: I saw here that Isaiah Bond was pranked as well. So the NFL's got a security issue with their personal information. Apparently the data breaches aren't all just hackers. Apparently they're family members.
Yeah. And the Shador thing, I think they blew up the prank call more than the fact of the reason why he was drafted so late.
Yeah,
He was drafted late because he's an entitled little.
The thing is, it gives everybody. It gives the. I mean, here's the thing. The mothership and Fox are running anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of banter talk a day, right?
Yeah, and while we're on the draft,
but let me finish my point, or I'll forget. The
Okay.
thing is, I mean, they have to have fodder topics.
Yeah, but the fodder topics can be saved for your debate shows.
Well, that's what
Not-
I meant. I was talking
not
about
when
debate shows.
Not when your crazy rear end is talking over somebody's big moment because the guy that you put your whole stock into
Oh yeah,
didn't get drafted. Kuiper. I think it's time. You know what? Them keeping him over McShay blows my mind.
Yeah,
I'm done with Mel Kiper. Just, the Jimmy Clausen thing I thought was my breaking point, but now I'm so done.
The great thing about
done.
the Jimmy Clausen thing is it revisits itself when he's.
He was critical. He was critical of the Mahomes pick.
Oh yeah,
and he said the NFL doesn't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. They're clueless. Those were his words.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the league that were taken early that he thought were a reach.
Did you read the comments? Steve Anderson, that's it. I'm opening a Jiggle Hut in Stillwater. Honestly, I was today years old when I heard the phrase Jiggle Hut.
Well, you must not have watched much Married with Children. That phrase was coined by the great Al Bundy.
Wow.
I want to say 1987.
Well, I guess I did. I guess I was kind of focused on Kelly.
Bring back the word stewardesses.
Was that the no ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Jiggle Hut. That's pretty cool. Dan Narvis says Matthew who?
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
Matthew
sorry.
Stafford and out of
Texarkana,
Texarkana, right?
Yes. Jared
Escaped
Goff
Mac
was
Brown
widely
and went to Georgia.
Jared Goff was widely criticized, and if not for Jeff Fisher, would probably been a heck of a lot better off.
What, Fisher's time at the Rams?
Yes, that's who
Yeah.
was the coach there when they drafted him
Yeah,
first overall.
because obviously Goff with a competent OC and a system is very, very serviceable.
Sure.
No, where I was going to go is I think he hedged his bets quite a bit and back and forth on Josh Allen. I don't remember. I think Kuiper was.
Allen, his deal was the accuracy.
Yeah, and it was an issue, you know.
Sure.
It may still be, but anyway.
Is it? I mean, the guy's the MVP.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to win it. You got to win the big one.
Well,
but,
there's going to be a lot of guys wearing gold jackets that couldn't get past 15 in red.
Well, sure.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Kuiper is man, he's beyond the point of even Corso at a much younger age. You just can't.
At least Corso had a ton of personality, and he gets a pass for that. Kuiper is just obnoxious.
Yeah, he's a jerk, and he's a buffoon, and he shoots off at the mouth, and I'm really surprised that they're allowing it to continue, but we'll see. So the draft and the prank call on Shedeur, as I mentioned, that probably served well for all of the banter shows but it didn't belong. All the Shedeur talk did not belong during. I mean, because you got 7th round draft picks that are, or 4th and 5th round draft picks that are not getting their profile shown because they're busy talking about Shadeur's slide, and it's just it was atrocious.
I mean, and that's all I talked about for 4 days.
Yeah. Well, 4 days may be the amount of time that you're waiting on an opponent for your Oklahoma City Thunder going forward into the 2nd round, and that's kind of the name of this episode. Will the first round ever end? 5 games or 7 games, Jeremy? Should it be?
What do you mean?
Should they go back to the 5-game first round?
Yeah, I've been saying that for a long time. There's more chance for upset. More chance for upsets in a 5-game series.
You know what? Be better.
Be better. It's more. It's. There's a lot more. The stakes are so much higher with a 5-game series. Just massively higher. Now, if this would have been a 5-game series, LeBron still would have not advanced, and I'd still giggle every time I think of it.
What they in the 5-game is it 2-2-1? Generally,
because the 5th game would be in the host because
you're going to give
seeds.
You're going to give the lower seed at least 2 home games.
Sure, yeah, it'd be 2-2-1.
Yeah,
instead of 2-2-1-1-1.
So the Timberwolves would have gone in, probably split in LA, 1-2 at home, and then closed them out. Yeah, so the gentleman's sweep is 5 games. Chuck.
Yeah, I was watching Eisen this morning, and he said, what did he say? Rudy Gobert had 1,005 rebounds the other night, 1,033 offensive rebounds.
Yeah. I looked at that stat line in the 4th quarter, and I saw that Minnesota was shooting 14% from 3.
Yeah, but they couldn't get a rebound.
And they took a lot of threes. And, I thought to myself, one way to wear out a team that's got a few players, either lack of conditioning or older, is make them have to crash the defensive boards a lot. So
no kidding.
So miss a lot, and that'll work in your favor.
So here, listen to this. So Rudy Gobert is solely responsible for the Mickey Mouse Bubble Gangster title that the Lakers won in 2020.
Got his revenge.
Yeah. Well, he got his payback.
He's not solely. I mean, he's patience hero, but that's not.
He was patience hero. He touched all the microphones. Yeah,
he didn't know.
Gobert. One night in Oklahoma City.
He didn't know.
He did.
And Oklahoma City is one of the last towns to really clamp down on stuff.
He does not get a pass.
Who?
He's French. He does not get a pass.
For some reason, I went years thinking he was Brazilian. I don't know. No, I mean, the thing about Rudy Gobert, and then also I was thinking, those games are not. They don't win that game with Karl Anthony Towns the other night.
Probably not.
because he's too busy. He's too busy worrying
He's
about
too
getting
busy
out on
firing
break.
up threes and not getting rebounds.
Yeah. And Julius Randle was a great pickup for the T-Wolves. They're going to be a tough out for anybody who wants to go through them, which it looks like it maybe tonight.
Man, imagine if the Lakers had Julius Randle. I bet
Yeah.
we could Photoshop a picture of Randle in a Lakers jersey.
Yeah. Um, so last night, and so anyway, back on the Timberwolves. Not a great night from Anthony Edwards. I've had some things to say about this, so let's go ahead and get into it. That we do have to talk some Thunder implications, and then also preview tonight's matchups and review last night's. But since the Lakers were eliminated this week, I'm just going to say this: two things. I got blocked by Jason McIntyre.
About time.
I commented on one of his posts. He was talking about what a tougher matchup Denver would be for the Lakers than Oklahoma City, and or it was something of that nature. He's just mouthing off, and I called him. I commented. I called him a clickbait merchant, and I got me blocked. So
yeah, unless the Lakers shoot 60% from three again, the Thunder clear them easily. I mean, you got size down low. The Lakers don't. They're going to run Luka's fat rear end to death.
Yeah,
LeBron's 40.
Yeah, you're gonna pick. You're gonna pick whoever Luka's lining up against, and let them cook. You know.
I sent you some gold in the group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just now or
just now?
Okay. Oh Lord. Well, and I got pretty mouthy. I might have had a barley pop or two on the other night during the Lakers game, and I put out a tweet that said, "Well," but I thought Bronny was going to help immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, and then I'll just say this: people roasting JJ Redick, and rightfully so. He started off on a bad foot, and the whole twisting off. And it was they're dumb questions, but you know what? You were a media member. You
know what? It was a dumb question, but it was also dumb to have a 10-point lead in the second half in that game and not sub LeBron out for a couple minutes. Well, let him get his legs back.
We talked about coaches tightening up, and I mean, and that's something that it doesn't matter how much you know the game. Apparently,
I thought LeBron had the greatest. I thought he had the greatest IQ ever. LeBron, greatest.
I was going to say, when's the coach / GM / star player going to say, "Hey guys, hey JJ, we need a break," and and that whole thing brought about the the narrative that this is what happens when you. This is what happens when you bring in your podcast buddy to coach your team, to coach the team, or any of that. I mean, but my thing is like, dude, you were a member of the media for a hot minute. You should know better. You should know better than to, that popping up and stepping out and and getting all in a huff is just going to make you look like a buffoon.
And it did.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see polished coaches, but it seems like those are being let go, like Budenholzer. Who was the coach at Memphis that got fired right before the playoffs?
Oh,
I mean, when Tom Thibodeau is playing his starters less than JJ Redick, you got to look at that and say, maybe the problem is me.
Yeah.
Now, I did look at the Knicks box score from last night and realized that Tibbs played his starters like 44 minutes, and they only got 6 points off the bench.
Yeah, it's a thing.
His old tricks, but it's the closeout game. It worked out.
Yeah. Well, and so another thing I realized is that the LeBron narrative and the GOAT narrative is what it is, and you know what? It doesn't matter. It's apples and oranges.
It's over now. Can we just say it's over now?
The whole GOAT argument, or his
career? It's both. LeBron should retire. I know that he's on enough HGH where he could play until he's 60. But I think he should he should retire. I mean, he's
Yeah.
40. He's got he's got more money than he can ever spend in 3 lifetimes.
But it's not
All
about the
he's gonna
money. I
do
mean,
now,
it's
yeah, but when you were watching that game the other night, it reminded me of my dad telling me about Willie Mays stumbling around in center field for the Mets.
yeah.
It's just it's gone. The magic's gone. You don't have it anymore. The legs are gone. Let's just ride off into the sunset, and you can go own a team if you want. You could be a coach if you want. You can disappear to Tahiti and never surface again because you got that kind of cash.
No, that's not going to happen. He's
I
got
know.
to be in the mind and in the conversation of everybody who's talking sports. That's who he is,
He
and
could join a debate show with Stephen A. Smith.
I mean, apparently Stephen A. is getting into politics, and we know LeBron understands the relationship with China. So go
What
ahead.
is he not doing? I saw that he was on like General Hospital the other day.
He's shooting a guy.
Yeah, no, it was a woman. It was a nurse.
Oh, it was a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. To me, I look at somebody who Barkley kind of dinged him in and said he didn't see him as top 5. But I mean, the thing about it is, and I say that a lot, if you're going to be considered in the conversation of top 5 of all time to ever play the sport of basketball, you probably should have had dudes being willing to come to you in Cleveland and play and create a super team. But obviously that didn't matter. Environment mattered. Where you're able to lounge in your off time mattered. So, you brought your hometown team one title, big deal. I mean,
yeah,
they should thank Draymond as much for that title as LeBron. I mean,
Jordan played all 82 games in his 40-year-old season. He averaged 22.4 points a game. So he averaged less points, but he played more games, and he won just as many playoff series with the Wizards that year.
Yeah.
We're done.
The thing about it I look at is also I have yet to remember, and I don't count when he kind of throws himself down to the ground, but I don't remember a drive to the bucket where, maybe in the early days playing against Detroit, Ben Wallace, I don't know. When's he ever driven to the bucket that, for one thing, he hasn't had a dominant physical advantage over everyone he's going against. And then secondly, not just had his clock cleaned.
Oh, I remember him elbowing Isaiah Simmons in the face and, drawing quite a bit of blood and running the other way when Simmons was about to kill him.
Yeah. The other night he bounced off of
Dante DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo. I mean, like he hit a stone wall.
Yeah.
And
that
then
was not a big dude. Yeah.
And then
went down like he was shot. And it was the knee.
Stayed down. And I saw
Let's see if he can put weight on it. Like there's nothing wrong with him. Yeah, he's gonna have some floor burn from throwing himself to the ground. Yeah, he's an incredible specimen, an incredible athlete. But there's something going on between those ears that
he
Jordan had that he just doesn't.
He doesn't have the heart and will of a champion, or else they would be past the first round. I mean,
he's got what? He's got 4 titles.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe had 5.
Dwayne
Guys
Wade
wanted to play with Dwayne Wade. 3.
Dwayne Wade, Kyrie. What do you mean?
How many titles did Dwayne Wade win?
2. Well, 3. One basically on his own with Shaq in his later years, and then the 2 with the big 3.
Yes. I still got Kobe ahead of him on my list. Just because
what's funny is how the LeBron supporters try to downplay Chris Bosh's contributions to that team. And
Chris Bosh was a hell of a player.
He was a big time forward,
Yeah, I mean, he was a perennial all-star in Toronto.
And he doesn't have the 2013 title if it's not for Ray Allen.
No, he doesn't have that title in Cleveland without Kyrie.
No, Kyrie and Kyrie. I think people truly realize is one of the offensive talents of this millennia.
I mean, he didn't win it without another top 5 player on the floor with him.
Yeah.
Trae Young gets 0 help, and they're going to the playoffs every year, and he went to a finals, and he's never had an all-star teammate.
Yeah.
Talking about Trae Young here.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of passing the torch, tonight will be game 7. I'm sorry, game 6, right?
Talking about Houston, Golden State?
Yeah, Houston trying to keep from getting closed out. They
Yep.
did so. They're in San Fran tonight. Looks like the Warriors are a 5.5-point favorite. Houston, I think this series goes as Jalen Green. If he can muster up offense and hit his average, I mean, the games they've lost, he's just been pretty dreadful.
Yeah. It's man, talk about maybe the worst 2 seed of all time.
Could be. I mean,
I get it. It's the Curry Warriors, but they were missing Jimmy Butler for a lot of this series, and still are facing a closeout game.
Yeah. Well, that's another team that's kind of just decided, we're gonna be pretty picky and choosy on the bench play.
Talking about the Rockets?
Yeah, no, the Warriors, they haven't. Their bench hasn't produced that much. I mean,
Well,
especially
who they have on their bench?
Well, yeah. I mean,
You can't pay a bench when you're paying Draymond and Steph and Jimmy Buckets.
Well, let's see. Dan Narva.
Hey, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dan Narva. Pistons had a crazy comeback versus Knicks, but couldn't close. Season over before disappointed home fans. Yeah, I mean, that's a team that they'll regroup. I mean, that's the thing. The NBA traditionally, unless an All-Stars just escorted into a finals, a la 2007, the NBA is typically about steps, and taking the next step.
The window is just opening.
Yeah,
they need one more piece.
Yeah,
they hadn't won a playoff game in. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it was 7 years, maybe 8. It's just opening. Really good young roster. Got a place for cousin Dennis to play. Norman's own Trey Waters is on there, or Lindy Waters is on that team.
Oh yeah, Kiowa Nation.
Kiowa Nation. They're just scratching the surface of what they're going to be.
Yeah,
they just need to draft well, get another piece. They're going to be just fine. It's still early in the window.
What seed were they going into the?
Was that the 4-5? Was that the 4-5 series?
Could have been.
Sure, Dan. It might have been 3-6. Sure, Dan will chime in.
Yeah. Well, and the Knicks have an expansive payroll. I mean they do. They're the Knicks. They're going to spend money and they'll get trucked in the next round. So
yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing, Jeremy. Looking at this playoffs, I mean,
does our guy Jimmy D still own
okay? Huh?
Does Jimmy D still own the Knicks?
Man, that's a good question.
Jimmy D and the straight shooters. Straight shots.
Him the straight shots. Say shots. 8 years. 3-6 matchup. Yeah. So, but no, I mean, Boston, Cleveland. Here's the thing: the two conferences, the conference finals. Really, if it's not Boston and Cleveland and OKC and Minnesota, then there's just jackassery going about. I mean, because we're seeing in this first round that those are the 4 teams that can really just stretch you, that can really just make you have to do things you're not comfortable doing. And they're new guard. They're escorting out the old guard. And I hate to say this, but Denver's kind of become the old guard.
The way they've run that franchise in the last year, yes.
Yes.
It seems like they're on their last legs.
Yeah. They lose 111 to 105 last night. And I tell you something, and I don't know if it stems back from the old days of loyalty to the Brody, but the fact that Russell Westbrook has taken so much heat about what he does in Denver, that team needs that spark. Who else do they have that's going to go out and play with any intensity?
They have no energy.
No. Jamal Murray is a shell of a player, and I've wanted to root for that guy for so long. And he just, I mean, I know he's been injured a lot, but golly. Porter Jr.?
Yeah.
Or is it Peyton?
Yeah, Gary Payton Jr.
Yeah, Gary Payton Jr.
Or is it Michael Porter Jr.?
One of them juniors.
Yeah, and Aaron Gordon,
I
who
mean,
did have the dunk that sealed that game 3, which was just I was so tired of watching that game. Can you imagine if Luka and Jokic were on the same friggin' team? How insufferable that would be. I mean, he's crying, waving his arms around, getting the referee's face, and not a single T was issued.
They better plan on overnight ratings from Eastern Europe
and
early morning ratings.
Cameron Hall asks off the air if Luka can opt out. I think he can after this year. So I think there's talk of him possibly wanting to opt out.
Going back to Dallas.
Would that be just amazing if Luka opted out and the Lakers are left with 117-year-old LeBron and Bronny and
Rui Hachimura
playing 48 minutes a night.
I'm stunned. Going back to that, I'm stunned at how much weight was put on the expectations of Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, I know. Where y'all coming away with, thinking this guy is going to be, I don't know. Because here's the thing. I do know that LeBron and his whatever team he's on, their training staff can lift the play of others. I think that's been established, is that he can lift the play of others. I saw Mike Miller stumble into the back of the arena in 2012, slumped over, unable to stand up straight. I don't know if LeBron stood on his back, kind of like they used to do on the Jeffersons or something, but Miller goes out and puts a few daggers in OKC that night. So
can you imagine if LeBron could do something besides 5 out and had a post game? Can you imagine?
Yeah, it'd be something else. But no, so last night the Pistons get closed out by the Knicks. Jalen Brunson hits a big shot at the end. He's just here's the thing. Dallas fans,
Mavericks fans, I'm sorry.
I kind of had to go at one of our friends from our KSEY days, Ben Coker, who just seems to perpetually bitch about Luka's. I mean, I don't even know if he's a Mavs fan or if he's a Luka fan, but the foul that DiVincenzo had on Luka driving to the bucket, it looked bad, but once you reviewed it, it's nothing more than a common foul. Mavs fans jumping online, that's terrible play, dirty play. And so, the thing about it is, and we've got to get to Thunder talk here in just a second, but the thing about that is defend Luka all you want, but the move you should be pissed off at your management about, if you're a Mavs fan, is losing Jalen Brunson.
No kidding. My God.
Good Lord.
You imagine Brunson, Luka.
Can you imagine Brunson with Lively and Gafford and PJ Washington?
Yeah. And if Luka would have bothered to hit the gym every once in a while.
Who?
Luka.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. No. Anyway, so last night it was a pretty interesting game between the Clippers and the Nuggets. My thinking is that series is so neck and neck that turnovers kind of dictated last night, and Clippers were looking great. They were just banging shots, but then Denver wasn't shooting bad either, but Denver turned the ball over more of it. That one's tied at 3 apiece, so the Thunder await their opponent there tonight. The Warriors have a chance to close out the Rockets. And then your Thunder are patiently waiting
till possibly May 5th.
See if they will face the Clippers or the Nuggets. Who do you want to see in that series, Jeremy, as a Thunder fan?
At this point, Denver. As far as but I do think that Oklahoma City matches up against the Clippers well, even with Kawhi on the floor, because they've got so many guys they can run at wing players.
Yeah.
And then they have two bigs plus Jay Will, who can kind of limit what Zubac can do. The thing with the Nuggets is kind of let Jokic do his thing, you know. Keep the ball in his hands. Make him a
Yeah.
scorer. Don't let him create. And there's not a whole lot of guys on that team that can just beat you. Outside of
No.
Russ on an insane night where his mid range is falling.
And if he, gosh, seeing him pull up at that left elbow.
Do you remember when that was just automatic?
I do.
It's gone.
In
I've
stride.
seen him.
I mean,
I've just seen him do it so many times, and it's just gone.
yeah. He still works hard, man. I
I
mean,
know. He still
and
brings the energy. He still rebounds. He still goes hard every time he hits the floor, and that's how everybody should play. But he
I'm
just
not
never
so
had the
blind to think
jumper.
I'm not so blind to think that he doesn't have a hand in how his career's kind of panned out. But I mean, you know, you get the invitation to go to LA, maybe decline.
Yeah,
Lakers.
don't go play. LeBron is always looking for a scapegoat,
He is.
and
That is exactly it.
you do not want to play next to that guy
No.
because anything you do is gonna. And you remember that playoff run when he was on the squad when they got swept in the first round. The only reason they made that playoff that year was because Westbrook carried the team for 2 weeks when LeBron was out with one of his late season groin, hamstring, ankle, whatever injuries.
Yeah. Well, Denver, they'll go back to Denver to see what happens with that one. But,
But
game
here's the
seven, neither one of those, I'll tell you this much, neither one of those teams probably wanted a game seven. They have to
no,
do the game seven, then have to deal with
and
everything that OKC.
possibly have 1 day rest, and then they have to deal with a rested young team that's going to come out throwing haymakers.
But then again, I mean, I love the home court advantage, but I mean, how many times do we see a team with a layoff? I mean, you come out a little slumping, a little, little out of gear, you could say.
Yeah, I'm going to go with positivity on this one because they had quite the layoff before the Memphis series and came out and blew them off the court. And Memphis isn't an old team.
Josh said he had him figured out if he hadn't got hurt in game 3.
Yeah, well, he still would have had to come back to the Paycom Center, and we saw how that went the first 2 games when Ja was healthy.
I'm just saying what Josh said.
Well, Ja's never been accused of having great judgment or being overly intelligent. So,
did you see Tyrese Halliburton's dad squaring off with Giannis?
Yeah, what are you thinking there? It was like almost Malice at the Palace when you got regular guys like us down there trying to square off with Jermaine O'Neal. What are you doing?
I'm telling you,
that guy can hit you from another county.
Malice at the Palace was the reason I kiboshed a job with the NBA. They upped security a lot after that.
I can see that.
Yeah. But no, Tyrese Halliburton even got on his post game and said, my dad probably out of line there. So
yeah, he's not allowed at any Pacers games, home or away.
Boom. So enough of the nonsense. So enjoy watching from home. Jeremy, Oklahoma City, going forward against either LA or Denver, which I'm going to say Denver closes them out at home.
You would think at their place.
I would think so. And
unless you have a Herculean effort from Kawhi and, Harden, who's, been so good in closeout games in his career. Oh
man, there were spurts last. Yeah, what's he even? Where? How come there's not an APB or a milk carton out for him in this playoff series?
Well, he had 28 on 20 shots last night. It not like he had a terrible game. Probably just nothing down the stretch.
Like I said, there were stretches where it looked like LA was just going to pull away, and then Denver just. I mean, Denver shoots a good percentage last night. If what I saw was correct, I think they were both around. Let's see. Well, that's not what I want.
Man, and would say the Lakers need a center because they can't mitigate what Rudy Gobert does. Let me go see if I can Photoshop Zubac in a Lakers jersey. Hang on. Oh wait, no, they had him.
Yeah, exactly. 41% from three for Denver and 31% for the Clippers. And that's so odd because at times it looked like the Clippers were just killing them from outside. So that's the thing about Denver is they get their, I mean, just to make, and I said this last night watching it to myself, in a game that should have been a blowout for LA on their home court in Denver, thinking that they might be able to close them out. A lot of times you see a team just kind of wave the white flag. Denver stuck it in there and then, really kind of kept it. I think they were within 6 in the last 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, 25 from Nikola Jokic. Turnovers. It was 12-7 in favor of LA, and that was kind of the decider in that whole thing. So
I'm trying to look at the box score.
I've got it pulled up here.
I don't have my glasses on, so it's been
rebounds was pretty even. Offensive rebounds, the Nuggets.
How much you want to bet that the reason why they stuck around in it late was because of Russell Westbrook's 14 points and 10 rebounds and 6 assists.
Yeah. Well,
on 10 shots.
And like efficient. I said, I'm sorry. I just I don't see a lot else getting out there and providing much of a spark. I mean, of course, Jamal Murray had 21 points, but late he just didn't seem to be able to find rhythm.
You know who they're counting on to provide a spark off the bench?
Brown.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh,
who until the other night I was not even aware he was still in the league.
Yeah, he did have a decent night the other night, but one rebound last night. That was one more rebound than I had.
I mean, they played 3 bench guys last night.
Yeah. They did get production from Christian Brown. I don't know. I mean, Denver's Denver, and you'll have to strategize. And there were spurts last night, Jeremy, where Kawhi looked like the old Kawhi to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he could be getting back in the feel of things, but you just don't know. And I would probably favor Denver. So going forward, looking at that, like you said, you run guys at Luka to try to deal with him, kind of let him deal with his. What I don't get in this league, and I'm just going to say this. What I don't get in this league is the focus is on a 3 is way worse than a 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet so many defenders sink in when somebody does penetrate near the lane, leaving what open?
Threes.
I mean,
and by extension, long rebounds, long offensive rebounds.
Yes. Corner threes are just the funniest thing that I see in this league on guys closing out so hard on somebody gunning a corner 3. And I just think to myself, well, you didn't help on the penetration. You weren't in position to help on the penetration. So why on earth did you sink in so much? I mean,
I don't know. I don't understand defense in the NBA anymore.
I don't. So anyways, so tonight, as I mentioned, it is Rockets Warriors, the only game on tap, and that is a potential closeout game for Golden State. They probably don't win that series if they don't get it done tonight.
Probably not. You talking about the Rockets?
Yeah. No, the Warriors.
Okay.
They're up 3-2.
Yeah, they have to go back to Houston, and we'll see. Steph's got something left in the tank, and maybe Draymond will kill someone tonight.
My Spurs get Rookie of the Year. Stephon Castle awarded that. Did you see the picture of Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Castle, and Wemby? Oh, you research that later. So Wemby's listed at 7'3", right?
Uh-huh.
Robinson played at 7'1". I know as we age, our vertebrae can kind of condense, but it literally looked like Robinson could be 6'4" standing next to Wemby. And Duncan too.
Oh my God!
Unless Wemby was just standing way closer to the camera than those guys,
he's got his arms around him.
He looks like 8 foot.
Yeah, he's standing right next to.
How is that?
Robinson.
What kind of What kind of
I
hoopa
don't.
joop are they doing on measurements down there? Did Robinson actually play at 6'6" his whole career?
He might have.
He
He might
dominated
have.
though.
Yeah, he did. The Admiral.
What was the what was the Family Guy segue where the Savior came back to modern times and had not he was a lot shorter. People were a lot shorter back in the holy days.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Anyway, so I don't know. Just interesting. But will the first round ever end? Will be your title look for here on the podcast episode. And I don't think it is. The never-ending first round.
The
That's it.
never-ending first round.
The
Well,
never-ending first
everyone
round.
in the West is so close together that a lot of those series should go 7 games. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it practically, outside of Oklahoma City, everyone was within 3 games of each other, all the way down to 10, right?
Yeah.
And it was closer than that last year. I think OKC won the took the 1 seed by half a game, and there
Well,
were six
and
teams available that could have made it to the 1 seed had Oklahoma City lost that last game.
yeah. Where do you think the smart money was on Indiana closing out Milwaukee in a gentleman's sweep? I mean, I guess you couldn't factor in the Dame injury, but
Right.
still, I would have thought that Milwaukee could take them to 6 or 7.
I don't like their roster, Chuck. I
No.
outside of Giannis and Lillard, they don't have much.
Well, there's your Photoshop into Lakers uniforms next season.
I hope not. He doesn't seem like Giannis doesn't seem like a guy that's willing to put up with that with as long as he's hung around Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And the answers he gave after the game when they asked him what he was going to do, and he's like, I just don't want to talk about it. Anything I say, you guys are just going to run with one way or the other. So I'm not talking about it.
Well, it'll be interesting, but anyway, so on the weekend, I saw that OU picked up some port. Go ahead.
The Giannis thing,
Uh-huh.
he's not a free agent. So it's going to
they're
have
just
to be a
talking about
trade,
him possibly asking for a trade.
requesting a trade.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to go somewhere that has assets and good young players. The Lakers don't have any of that.
Yeah. What about
I mean, I know one team that does, but I don't think that Oklahoma City should do it.
that's where
I mean,
I
it'd
was
be
going.
awesome. It'd be awesome. You'd have to give up a lot, but you got the assets. You got the good young players.
Man. I mean, let me ask you this as a Thunder fan, and I could be dealing with this pretty soon as a Spurs fan. Wouldn't you rather just make a run with what you've accumulated?
Yes, because there's an attachment that's built.
Yeah.
You don't want to see these guys. I was mad when Trey Mann got traded for Gordon Hayward, who, hindsight being 2020, they'd have been better off keeping Trey Mann. Because you form an attachment to these guys, especially if they get drafted here. You see them play every night here, and then they're gone, and you bring some guy in who's been around, is probably a malcontent. You have your Marcus Morris or some of the other guys that they brought into the past that just didn't gel with the culture. You would just like to see them the team stay together for as long as you can, realistically keep it together.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, who was it that I saw? Oh, I know what I was going to tell you, but hold on just a minute. I saw somebody else that I recognized from a Thunder roster, and I just thought, it wouldn't be a defining piece, but it wouldn't be a bad piece. But no, I'm kind of the mindset. And you know what's funny is you mentioned Marcus Morris and some of these guys. There's a generation of NBA players that you said malcontent that really just don't go into a situation and just kind of glide.
No.
And I don't
No.
get that. I don't think that's the case with the younger players. And rarely will you see me defend younger players over older players. But I just think there's an era of NBA player there that just kind of came in and they just had a lot of attitude and a lot of bravado, I guess.
A lot of that can be, most of these guys are friends.
Yeah.
Social media, just the availability of everything now. They they probably grew up playing AAU together, a lot of them.
Yeah.
it's just a different world we live in now, when these guys were isolated on one side of the country from the other and they just hate each other because they just hate each other.
Hmm.
Like Magic and Bird weren't buddies until what, they retired?
Yeah. Um, yeah, and you had Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson just starting crap everywhere. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma City plays LA, I know he's not a major factor, but they're going to have to protect against the dirty play of Bogdanovich. He's a dirtbag.
God dang Eastern Europeans. Just a
Yes,
bunch of
they're the
dirtbags.
worst. No,
They are.
I will
I'm
say
trying
this.
to think of the former Thunder player you're talking. He plays for Cleveland. What is his name?
It's not
Daggone it.
Kenrich Williams. He's
No. He's a white dude. Comes off the bench. He was with the Thunder for like 3 years. Give me a cap. When did they close out? Good Lord. Here,
I
I'm
got
going to
it
pull
here.
up a box score right now, and I'll tell you
I've
who it
got
is.
you. Max Struess? No.
No.
Jerome?
Ty Jerome, yeah.
Hi, Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be a nice piece coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm. But they got nice pieces coming off the bench. I mean,
I know.
that's the thing. But you do hate to see. I mean, I would hate to see the Thunder blow things up, or not blow things up, but just kind of
Trade
some of
for
the
pieces.
exactly.
Trade good players for pieces because you think
because
that's what's going to get you over the top.
Well, I'll tell you something else right now. I mean, the face of these playoffs looks like you got to have the players. You got to have numbers.
Depth.
You got to have guys that will come off the
You
bench.
You got to be able to roll 10 guys out there.
I think so.
And there's not that many. Cleveland can do it. OKC does it. The Knicks aren't willing to do it. Obviously, the Lakers weren't willing to do it. They decided to play small ball, and they had a perfectly good center sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And, just go out there. It's okay. Put him out there. Mitigate what Rudy Gobert can do. You're still going to get points.
I'm going to nominate a guy this week for an award. It's called the I Caught a Stray Award. And it's when you by no fault of your own get just blasted and your name's just everywhere. Maxi Kleba. I feel so sorry for that guy. All he did was come in when coach asked him to and play some meaningless minutes. And my God, you thought Maxi Kleba was Bronny James. I mean, it just
Maxi Kleba is a good NBA player. Stop it.
He
did not ask to be. And we were talking about the trade for Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is the NBA going to step in and make that trade for
Yeah.
Dallas and Milwaukee, much as they did with the Mavericks and Lakers with Luka, where you get very little in return for a top 5 player?
Yeah.
Just because we got to have the Lakers in because no one's going to watch it otherwise is what their perception is. We all know it's not true.
Exactly. Real quick, you got some portal additions. I think a receiver out of McNeese State and then a defensive lineman.
I'm pulling it up. They got my arms aren't long enough. Lolahea from Utah.
Yeah.
Kicker Tate Sandell from UTSA.
The University of Texas at San Antonio.
I'm telling you, with the Michaela Lolahea. Michael is not a Pacific Islander. I was looking at it without my glasses, and it looked like it could be a Pacific Islander name, but it's not. But still, some nice additions. Nagy is bringing guys in that produce.
Gavin Sawchuk enters the portal.
Someone was entering. We all kind of thought it was going to be Taylor Tatum, but Sawchuk, I guess he wants to. I won't say cash in, but he wants to play.
I think the sad thing with Gavin Sawchuk is what could have been. I mean,
sure.
And I mean, I don't think it's his fault for last season.
He's a top 5 bowl game running back in Oklahoma history because he always plays well in bowl games. He's been unhealthy.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Do you feel like the offensive staff is kind of probably going to take away some of the duties and some of the responsibilities from one running back coach?
I don't. Okay. The only thing I want DeMarco to do is develop and coach up. running back rotation, I would like to see in the hands of the OC
Yeah.
because DeMarco has shown that I don't know if it's due to injury and they're just kind of letting it not be said that it's not DeMarco, but on the surface it seems like he doesn't understand hot hand at all,
No, I would
and
agree with that.
it's been very frustrating. I don't understand why the tight ends coach is still employed, being they needed a tight end and they got some tight ends, but nothing that's going to blow you away. They got
Hmm.
a guy from Pitt State and they got a guy from what, Appy State? Or no,
Yeah,
Kennesaw State.
but they did get a player from App State, didn't they?
They did get a player from App State, I believe.
Okay.
But still, it's those two, there's all kinds of guys in the running back room. As long as you learn to manage them, that's going to be a good room. We don't know about the tight end room. It seems like everything in Oklahoma athletics is on the upward trend except for the tight end room and the football team.
I read an article on PFF and the basically the top 5 by position, and OU did have, I think, Halton,
Grayson Halton, yep.
Grayson Halton mentioned as one of the top 5 or 10 DLs.
He had a good year last year.
Yeah. Texas with 2. One, or I looked at the edge and the linebacker spots. Man, Texas had a lot. Texas lost a lot in the draft.
They did.
They had a ton of players drafted, and I mean, are we just to believe they've got the guys behind them that are going to come in and fill those spots? I mean, Colin Simmons and the number 0 kid, the linebacker. Is it Anthony Richardson or
yes,
no?
Anthony Edwards? No.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Anthony something.
Yeah.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Hill?
Anthony Hill.
Anthony Hill. Yeah. Those guys are projected as huge draft picks, but this defense, I think I saw Woody Washington signed an undrafted free agent deal with someone.
He did.
I think so. Maybe the Rough Riders of Saskatchewan. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. He'll be up there with Shador.
Yeah. But going forward, this is all I'll say about OU football is it's a proving season. They've got to make these guys get out and execute, regardless of your pedigree, regardless of your ranking, regardless of what Pro Football Focus looks at your team as. Marty Wandry with the answer. Ravens. Woody Washington, undrafted free agent with the Ravens. OU football's got to get out and produce. You had 2 draft picks this season, and they were both 4th round.
So I didn't know if we were going to talk about this or not, but
we will.
You're looking at the last of the mule shoe leftovers, I guess we'll call them, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that? Stutzman, Bowman, Woody, and then some portal guys. Oh, Ethan Downs. Ethan ended up signing with
Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, coming out of his sophomore year, I think he was projected as a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
I guess production has a lot to do with what they see. I mean,
Tony Jefferson got a 2nd round grade and went undrafted.
Yeah.
And you see the kind of career he's had.
And I think Ethan will be the type that takes to the whole NFL rigmarole and preparing yourself and doing what you need to do.
Back onto the quality of players that are on the Oklahoma roster. Guys are sticking around more than ever because they're getting paid, right? And a lot of the guys that could be future day 2, day 1 picks, they're young.
Mm-hmm.
They're young, or they're sticking around because it was a 2-3 grade, and they can come back to OU and make almost $1 million, and that's probably what they're going to make in the NFL. So why not stick around, still get paid, increase your draft stock? I mean, Dominic Williams was a potential 2nd-day guy.
David Stone is a sophomore coming in.
He's ineligible for the draft. Yeah, Jaden Jackson, who day 1 was a beast.
with
Halton's going to probably play in the NFL.
Jaden Jackson was not the 5-star David Stone was, and who'd they go with? You know,
Jaden Jackson was a 3-star.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a throw-in because he was David Stone's teammate down there.
Yeah.
And he came in and started day one.
Yeah.
The Bowen kids, Gentry Williams, if he could have a healthy year, he's a dynamite corner.
I guess Kip Lewis decided to stay.
Yeah, Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie will be probably your every down backers.
What do you think about Kendall Daniels coming in? Is he kind of going to be kind of the trace forward of this, he's
going to play the cheetah.
Yeah.
He's going to play the cheetah.
Right.
He's got a ton of ability. Yeah, Oklahoma State had a lot of guys drafted. They had like 5 guys drafted for a team that didn't win a single conference game in that toy poodle conference that the Big 12 is.
Kelvin's words, not ours.
I just love that.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask about OSU. They had quarterbacks transfer out this week.
Yeah, who transferred out this week?
Isn't Rangel gone?
Did Rangel leave?
And then the kid with the name that's impossible to pronounce.
The Pacific Islander kid.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be taking snaps up there. Gunner got any eligibility left?
Bring him back from import, and I think he's on a coaching staff somewhere.
Yeah, he's a grad assistant at Oak State.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting, and still a lot of time to talk football. Just how about OSU? How about OU softball? They sweep Texas last week, and
they are one win away from clinching the SEC regular season title. They got two two left of a 3-game set in Florida, and they won last night.
Yeah. So big wins on the road.
It's a rebuilding year, guys.
Do you think OU fans do you think OU fans should go easier on Mike White?
No, he's a douche.
He really is. I saw some social media.
And the fact that he's Australian just makes him more of a douche.
Oh, it really does. I saw some social media discourse talking, people should, it's a good rivalry, treat him more respect, and then somebody answers with the pic of him flipping the double bird.
Right. Patty Gasso lives rent-free in his head.
When we had Steely on last summer, one thing I should have mentioned was one of his parodies was after who was the guy that was the defensive coordinator that came to coach with Mac? He was from Syracuse. Greg Robinson. Was it him?
Yeah.
Was he the one that grabbed his crotch at OU fans?
I think. Yes. It was.
Grab your crotch. Grab your crotch, Coach Greg Robinson.
Yeah.
Mike White with a double bird. All right, we need to start getting out of here, but we'll.
Yeah, I hear a puppy being fussed out.
Okay, let's do that. Your plans for the weekend? Anything going on? Other than, I think we're supposed to be out of the storms until next Monday. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go ungarage the truck. I got deadlifts today, and then dog sitting.
Oh, those deadlifts, what a bite.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yours truly is going to be doing some game prep for some playoff soccer. And I want to remind folks, if you want to have 20 minutes of entertainment, probably a little better stretch than this one, go to our YouTube channel and check out our interview with Tate Sage, a young man from Weatherford, Oklahoma, who I called his games for 4 seasons.
Iowa Hawkeye.
Yeah. He follows the coach Ben McCollum, who made the move from Drake, signed Tate Sage as the coach at Drake, and then takes the job post-tournament.
I believe the kids call that a glow up.
Is that what
Drake to Iowa? Okay.
Yeah, all within probably the same area code. I don't. Does Iowa have more than one area code?
I probably
Anyway,
isn't Iowa. Where is Drake?
Drake's in Des Moines and
okay.
And IU's in
Iowa City.
Yeah. Dan Narva says you can deadlift a dog.
She's a puppy. That won't be much of a workout.
We've been to, Kentucky Derby tomorrow, and then that's got the Toby Keith horse.
Yes.
Render Judgment, I think is the name. So we'll be watching that to try to see how that one goes. And then Dan Narva even extending some Big Ten love to Tate Sage and his signing with the Hawkeyes. And I tried to go down my list of when I was interviewing Tate last night. I tried to go down my list of B.J. Armstrong, Will Perdue, Dr. Tom Davis, I think, was the longtime coach there. They came to the all college class in '87, and B.J. Armstrong and I think Will Perdue were on that team. Perdue played with Jordan, if I remember right.
Yes, he did.
Hell, maybe B.J. Armstrong did.
B.J. Armstrong did as well.
There you go.
Will Perdue was one of those big white nondescript centers. Him and what was the other guy's name? The guy with the goatee.
Winnington.
Bill Winnington.
Yep. Which Winnington, I saw a Facebook page I looked at. Winnington was a high school All-American.
Will Perdue is also Australian, but he is not a D-bag.
But yeah, so check out my interview with Tate Sage. Just a wonderful kid, wonderful player. Won a state title this season at Weatherford, and I got to looking at it and I thinking about it, Jeremy. Maybe since Ryan Miner, the highest rated recruit to sign with a D1 program in Western Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
I mean, Miner signed with OU, which is a D1 program and was a successful D1 program. But yeah, I couldn't think of offhand. I couldn't think of any other Western Oklahoma kids who signed that big of a basketball signing. So, anyways, but I mean, that's the thing. It'll be interesting, and we talked about it. The coach at Iowa, he'll try to bring that style that he employed at Drake to the Big Ten. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you juggling doggy duty. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Got to go out there
and jumping on here with
puppy. And
I'm going to say that's a tight zip up that you got going on today.
You like that?
That's pretty sharp. But the sometimes the color scheme can override the base color of the fleece, but that's pretty sharp. I'll give you credit. And then see you repping the health club once again.
There you go. Yeah, we're
Does
back.
Does it irritate you there in a lot smaller facility now than the old days?
So much, man. That old gym was so nice.
It feels like Brookhaven died.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does.
I don't know. Pub Dub and Louis pretty nice though.
Yeah, they are.
Really, Brookhaven died when Dean Lindsay of Stretch Norman left.
Yeah, Stretch.
He's over there behind 7-Eleven and Pizza Shuttle.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. All right. I knew that. I saw it over there the other day.
Let's get out of here. He's Jeremy Schroeder, ruler of the airways. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog. This has been Law Dog Sports, the Weekend Big Show. Be sure and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram at Law Dog Sports. Subscribe here on our YouTube channel at Law Dog Sports, and you can listen to these episodes on your favorite podcasting page, SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure don't drink and drive, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Steve Owens and Associates also moved out of there.
They got out of there?